Today we're actually going to be doing our last video. It's actually 9-6, but before we get to 9-6, I know that in class we didn't have a chance to go over the do-it-yourself questions from 9-5. So before I get started with 9-6, I would like to do the do-it-yourself problems so that you can check what you got for your do-it-yourself problems, and then we'll proceed. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I am going to factor both expressions. Remember, it's asking for the least common multiple of each pair of expressions. So I'm going to factor out a 6 in this case and get x plus 5 for that guy. This guy is going to be, they all have a 3, so I'm going to take out the 3 first. So x squared minus 3x minus 10. And then I can factor the quadratic portion. And I'll do 5 and 2, negative 5 plus 2 will give me the negative 3 I need for that middle term. So the complete factorization for A is 3 times x minus 5 times x plus 2. And then we have the 6 times x plus 5. So if you remember, we're looking for the complete factorization. So we know that 6 is 3 times 2. I want a prime factorization, so there we go. Now, we mentioned before that we have to have every single factor present in the least common multiple. So, since we have a 2 out of this expression, then 2 will be part of the least common multiple. And then we have a 3, and there's a 3 here as well. So 3 is part of the least common multiple. You have an x minus 5. You have an x plus 5 and an x plus 2. So x minus 5, x plus 5, and x plus 2. And then lastly, you want to combine this to a 6. So your least common multiple for part A is 6 times x minus 5 times x plus 5 times x plus 2. All of that. So now in part B, do the same thing here. I'm going to take out the 2 here, and that'll give me x squared minus 4. And of course, that would break down a difference of 2 squares into x minus 2, x plus 2. And then the first expression, they all have a 5 in common, so I'll take the 5 out, and that'll give me x squared plus 3x plus 2 this time. 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 2 is 10. So now when I factor it, I will get 1 times 2, and when we add those two together, you'll get 3. So the factorization will be 5, x plus 1, and x plus 2. So to get my complete factorization, I have to have all of the factors present. So this one has a 2, so I'll need a 2. This one has a 5, so I will need a 5. This one has an x plus 1, so I'll need that. This one has an x plus 2, and so does this one. And then I need this x minus 2. Now all the factors are present. The last thing you can do is combine the 2 and the 5 into a 10. So the least common multiple for part B is 10 times x plus 1 times x plus 2 times x minus 2. And that is how you do those guys. So the next do-it-yourself problem is right here. And so it requires some factoring. We always start with the factoring. To add these together, I need to find the least common multiple so that I can get a common denominator. So when I factor the first expression, 1 and 1, let's see, 6 times 2 is 12. And we need a negative 4, so I'm going to put negative 6 there. That way when I go this direction, I get negative 6 plus 2, which is negative 4, so that works. So I'll factor this guy into x minus 6, x plus 2. And then this guy will become 4 times x plus 2. So the least common denominator, least common multiple, I guess, will be the 4. And the x plus 2, and the x minus 6. Okay? So now to add them together, we actually need to multiply each fraction by what it's missing from the least common multiple. So since this first fraction already has the x plus 2 and the x minus 6, we're going to multiply it by the 4 on top and bottom. And then the second expression is missing, it already has the 4, it already has the x plus 2, so it's missing the x minus 6. So now we will get, the common denominator on the bottom will be 4 times x minus 6 times x plus 2, which both expressions have now. They have all three factors. And on the top, we'll get 4 times 1, which is 4, and then 3x times x minus 6. And then our last step is just to simplify our answer. So we're going to get 3x times x is 3x squared, and 3x times negative 6 is negative 18x. So on the top, we're going to, if we write this in standard form, we're going to get 3x squared minus 18x plus 4 on the top. On the bottom, you have 4 times x minus 6 times x plus 2 as your answer for that do-it-yourself question. Alrighty, so then we move on to do-it-yourself number 3. And we had 2 expressions here, but again, it's very similar to what we just finished doing. Only now I think we're subtracting. So when you subtract, it's very important that you distribute the negative. And again, I will explain that as we go. So the first thing we want to do is factor. I'm pretty sure that we can reduce this little guy because I know 3 goes into 36. And let's see if 3 goes into 105. And it does. So we're going to factor out the 3 and get x squared plus 12x plus 35. 35 times 3 is 105, and 3 times 12 is 36. So now I can try to factor out this expression. We'll put a 1 and a 1, and then 5 times 7 is 35, and 5 plus 7 is 12. So we'll get 3 times x plus 5 and x plus 7 for that factorization. This guy will be, take out the 6, get x plus 5. So the common denominator will be the 3, not 3, sorry. We need a 6. Because this is a 3 and a 2, so we're going to need a 6. We're going to need the x plus 5 and the x plus 7 for our common denominator. So when I multiply this expression, I'm going to multiply by what it's missing. So it already has the x plus 5, it already has the x plus 7, it has a 3, it needs a 6, so I need to multiply by 2 on that part. And then over here, this guy already has a 6, already has an x plus 5, so it just needs the x plus 7 on top and bottom. So then I'm going to end up with my common denominator, which will be 6 times x plus 5 times x plus 7. And on top, we're going to get the negative 2 times 2, which is negative 4. And I'm going to put the minus here. And then we're going to have 3x times x plus 7. And then we want to simplify that. So negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. And negative 3x times positive 7 is negative 21x. And that's the part where I was saying earlier, you have to make sure that you distribute the negative to both the x and the 7. So to write this in our simplified form, in standard form, we want to put the x squared first. So we're going to get negative 3x squared. Then we're going to have minus 21x minus the 4, all divided by our common denominator, 6 times x plus 5 times x plus 7. Awesome. So that will be our answer for part A. And now we will do part B over here in much the same way. So we're going to factor out this guy again. The 3, all of these terms have a 3 in common. So we're going to take out the 3. And then that'll become, we can factor that guy, 1 and 1. and then 2 and 1, and make them both negative this time. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And then when I add negative 2 and negative 1, I get negative 3. So we're going to go x minus 2, x minus 1 for that guy. And here we also have a 3 in common. And when we factor him, we'll get 1, 1, 2, and 1. And this time we're going to want the 1 to be negative, so that when I go 2 minus 1, I get a positive 1, which is what I have in there. So this one will become 3 times x plus 2 times x minus 1. Awesome. And now my least common multiple will be 3. They both have a 3. X minus 2. We need an x plus 2 because this one has an x plus 2 and they both have an x minus 1. So that will be our least common multiple. So we need to multiply this fraction by what it's missing. It already has a 3, already has x minus 2, already has x minus 1. It needs an x plus 2. So we need x plus 2, x plus 2. The second equation already has the 3, the x plus 2, and the x minus 1, so it just needs an x minus 2. So x minus 2, oops, that doesn't look good. My marker is getting crazy over there. So this is x minus 2, and then down here we want to go, why is it doing that? I did it again. Doesn't like that guy. So we'll just put x minus 2 and then x minus 2. Yeah, you're going to do that time. All right, so now we are going to multiply everything. So we're going to get our common denominator, which we know is 3, x minus 2, x plus 2, and x minus 1. On the top, we're going to have x times x plus 2. Okay, then we have a big fat minus right there, so that's going to be minus. And we're going to get 2x plus 1 times x minus 2. All right, and so now we're going to need to multiply all this out. And I'm kind of running out of space here, so I'm going to delete this part A. So I hope that you wrote that down, or you can go back and pause or rewind the video and you can go back and see the answer if you didn't. So we're going to erase this guy. And then I need to multiply the top. So x times x here is x squared. X times 2 is plus 2x. Then we have a minus. And we're going to have to FOIL this because you've got two binomials. So 2x times x is 2x squared. Outside times outside is 2x times negative 2, which is negative 4x. Inside times inside is 1 times x, so that's going to be 1x. And last times last is 1 times negative 2, that's going to be negative 2. Notice that at this point I have not distributed the negative yet, but it's right here. So I'm going to combine negative 4x plus x, which is negative 3x, so they're going to become negative 3x. And now I'm going to distribute my negative, so I'm going to get negative 2x squared, this times that. Negative, negative is positive 3x, and then negative, negative is positive 2. Combine our like terms, so x squared minus 2x squared is negative x squared. 2x plus 3x is 5x, and then our plus 2, and it's all divided by our common denominator from earlier, which was 3, x minus 2, x plus 2, and x minus 1. And this doozy is now your final answer for that guy. So, awesome. Now we have one last example to go over with your do-it-yourself problems, I guess. And I want to make sure that I have enough time on my video. So hold on. Let's see here. We're okay. I don't know if we're going to be, I might have to make this into 2 separate videos. But anyway, so here we go. In part A, we're asked to simplify the complex fraction. So one of the things that I like to do is just kind of rewrite them. Don't let them get you all scared and stuff. This guy right here is 1 over x divided by y. And so you can go 1 over x and then flip it over and multiply. So if this is y over 1, then you would times it by 1 over y. And then you can just multiply across. So 1 times 1 is 1, and x times y is xy. So that's the simplified version of part A. In number 3, we want to do the same thing, but this is 2 separate fractions. So what you want to do is just kind of deal with this bottom fraction first. And if this denominator is 2y, then I can make this 1 be, have a common denominator by writing 2y over 2y. Because we know that anything divided by itself is 1. So 2y divided by 2y is the same thing as 1. But that allows me now to combine this bottom fraction into one fraction instead of 2 separate things. So I'm going to go 2y minus the 1, all divided by 2y. So now what this expression is saying is 3 divided by 2y minus 1 over 2y. And again, like the previous example, I can convert this division to multiplication by flipping it over and multiplying. So I'll put the 2y on top and the 2y minus 1 on the bottom, and then multiply across. So 3 times 2y will be 6y, and 1 times 2y minus 1 is just 2y minus 1. And no, you cannot cancel out the 6 and the 2 or the y for that matter, because you have subtraction happening right here. So that's not allowed. Alrighty? So then we're going to do the exact same thing with this last example. Only this time we have fractions, 2 separate fractions on top, 2 separate fractions on the bottom. And again, I'm going to run out of space, so I'm going to go ahead and erase B and A from here. And that will give me more space to do C. So, what we're going to do is basically we need a common denominator. They have separate factors, so the common denominator for the top is going to be x times x plus 1. And the common denominator for the bottom is going to be x minus 1, x plus 1. Alright? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this fraction by what it's missing as far as the common denominator. So it's missing the x plus 1. So I need to do that and that on that side. And this fraction is missing the x. So that times that to get the common denominator. On the bottom, this fraction needs to get multiplied by x plus 1 and x plus 1. And this fraction needs to get multiplied by x minus 1 and x minus 1. Alright, so now when I go to over here, where I have more space, I'm going to get x plus 1 times x minus 2. X plus 1 times x minus 2. Then I have a minus, and then I have 2 times x. Okay? All divided by the common denominator, which was x times x plus 1. Okay? Now this part I can actually FOIL. First times first, outside times outside, inside times inside, and last times last. So when I combine this negative 2x with that negative 2x, that's negative 4x, and negative 4x plus 1x is actually negative 3x. So I get x squared plus, what did I say? Not plus, minus, sorry. Minus 3x minus 2. And that's what goes on top here. X squared minus 3x minus 2. All over x times x plus 1. We'll do the same thing for the bottom part. So I have 3 times x plus 1. So 3 times x plus 1. Then we have a minus again. And then we have 1 times x minus 1, which is basically just itself x minus 1, all divided by the common denominator. So now we're going to multiply across, so 3x plus 3, distribute this negative, negative x, negative times negative is positive 1, combine all your like terms, so 3x minus x is 2x, and 3 plus 1 is 4, so you get 2x plus 4. So on the top here, we're going to get 2x plus 4. All right, so if that wasn't enough to scare you, now we actually have to rewrite what I said earlier. We're going to go x squared minus 3x minus 2 divided by x times x plus 1. And then instead of what we see here is this division bar, so we can go divided by 2x plus 4 over x minus 1, x plus 1. And just like I did in the previous examples, we can convert this division to multiplication by flipping it over and multiplying. So x minus 1 times x plus 1 over 2 times x plus 2, because I can factor the 2 out of this guy. So we have that. And then over here, we have x times x plus 1. And then pretty sure that we can factor the top, 1 and 1. Negative 2 times 1. Can I factor that guy? I don't think so. So this is going to be x squared minus 3x minus 2. And at this point, you can cancel anything that's on top versus the bottom. So for example, this x plus 1 will cancel with that x plus 1. And that's pretty much it. So our final answer will be x minus 1 times x squared minus 3x minus 2 all over x times 2x plus 4. No need to factor it. You can leave it like this, 2 times x plus 2, or you can just leave it as 2x plus 4 because it didn't factor or didn't cancel with anything. So this will be our final answer for that part. Yeah. So there you go. Because it took me longer than I thought to go over the questions, to do it yourselves, I'm going to put your actual lesson into a separate video. So thanks for watching.